Could two teams go 16-0?
Could two teams go 16-0?
Who's going to beat the Packers?
I'd have to look at their schedule. I think they might have a tough time in Minnesota. Did they play in Minnesota yet?
No.
I think Minnesota's a better team than people realize.
They're going to go 6-0 in the division. You know that as well as I do.
Possibly.
Yeah. Can somebody look up
What are you looking for?
Packers schedule.
Yeah.
I think, let's see it.
Bring that over. You can step up here.
Thank you.
Just bring that over to Les, and you can read it.
All right, so the Packers schedule.
Cardinals.
They're home against the Chargers.
Oh, that's
They're
a win.
in Denver.
That could be a win.
They actually go to Carolina to play the Panthers.
No, that's a win. We know that.
They do go to Minnesota.
Yeah, well, that's a win.
They
Where do they play the Cardinals?
Oh, they play the Cardinals in Arizona.
That could be
Yeah.
a tough one for them.
That's their schedule.
15-1. Now,
Thank you.
Look at the Patriots now since we're on a roll. Just sit down.
Who's Ricky? He's trying to text you right now. Who's Ricky?
Who?
Ricky?
I don't know a Ricky.
And he's sending some really nasty pictures
I don't
too.
know a Ricky.
Here.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows you have that.
Just kidding.
Now look up the Patriots and come back real quick before. Well, the Patriots.
I think the Patriots have a shot, actually. I really do. I agree with Mike Sando, who wrote about that on ESPN.com.
Well, they got out of Buffalo with winning. So Miami, and we're going to both bring that up later, but Miami is turned into nothing.
Right.
They were supposed to be.
And the Jets, the Jets, for all the love we gave them after the first two games.
Yeah, maybe they could go, at home.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That's why I asked you, two teams that could go 16-0, but we got to find out about Arizona. We got to find out about the Broncos, truthfully. I mean, we go back to what John Elway said. It's on the floor here. He seemed kind of nervous. That's what I was trying to tell you at the outset of the show.
No, I agree. I'm not convinced. Although they could go into the break 6-0.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they'll go into, I think based on what I've seen, they can go into Indianapolis and win.
Now, there's a team that might go without a win all year. The Chicago Bears. You talk about a dog meat team. I don't think they'll go 0-16. It happens so rarely. But you think John Fox and Adam Gase are sorry they took those jobs with Chicago?
Well, what was their option?
Yeah, I know. They had to have work. So,
do you think San Francisco would have wished that it had hired Adam Gase instead of Jim Tom Sula?
Yeah. Somebody who could work with that quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, because he looks like he's taken 5 steps backward in his progress.
Sure,
they needed an Adam Gase. They needed a guy like Mike Shanahan who knows how to develop quarterbacks. They needed somebody like that.
Okay. Do you think you said are they regretful that they took the job? Do you think Chicago's regretful that they hired John Fox?
You know what? I think this was going to be a lost season for the Chicago Bears. Outside of rebuilding and getting better and taking baby steps, terrible defense coming into the season, the worst defense in the NFL right now, a sullen, underachieving quarterback in Jay Cutler.
Well, who do you
wide
think,
receivers who can't stay healthy.
Who do you think? I don't know how to put this question. Do you think Jay Cutler wants out of Chicago more than Chicago wants Jay Cutler out of Chicago?
I don't know what Jay Cutler wants. He's always been so hard for me to read. Outside of just being a total turd, I don't know what's important to Jay Cutler outside of making money. I just don't know. But I will say this. I don't think he'll be their quarterback next year. I think they've had it with him.
Who would take him?
A team desperate for a quarterback.
Okay, well, who would that be? Kansas City?
Houston, maybe. Houston is desperate for a quarterback. Cleveland might be desperate for a quarterback after this year.
Boy, that's a happy marriage.
Kansas City.
Would you like Cutler and
they just signed Alex Smith.
Good.
They just signed. They're into Alex Smith for a lot of money in Kansas City. So I don't think that would be the deal there.
Well, then you should like Alex Smith. You should really love Alex Smith.
Because as long as he's there, the Broncos won't have a problem with Kansas City.
Yeah. How about Jay Cutler with the Broncos next year?
I don't think that's going to happen. John Elway and Jay Cutler didn't get along when Jay was here.
You're right.
So that's not going to happen.
John Elway was going to play golf, wasn't it? John Elway was going to play golf with Jay Cutler, and Cutler kind of blew him off.
Yeah. Jay showed him absolutely no regard, no respect.
I know when I talked to John, when he was just a, quote, fan, that John hated
Yeah, didn't like
Cutler.
him at all.
Thought he was...
Would never bring... He and Kubiak would not get along with Cutler. Then again, who does?
But you can't... I don't understand John Fox, because John Fox hated Jimmy Clausen, and now he's his starting quarterback.
He doesn't have a choice.
What in the world were they thinking when they signed him? He's not
And
good.
keeping him as a backup.
And somebody wrote that Clausen looked pretty good.
No, he
He
didn't.
scored
He was
0
terrible.
points. What somebody said, he handled himself well.
They had 10 drives, the Bears did this last weekend, and punted all 10 times. They never got any further than the Seattle 40-yard line. Jimmy Clausen shouldn't even be in this league.
Do you think they'll get the #1 draft pick?
I think they will, yeah. I think they're the worst team in the league.
Think they'll draft a quarterback?
Who might be coming? Is the TCU kid a senior? Boykin?
Yeah.
Who?
Jared Goff, Cal quarterback.
The Cal quarterback?
Yeah,
he's ready.
Cal's
the
coming
Cook,
on.
The Cook kid. Where's
But
Cook?
Boykin's up for the
Michigan State. He might be the #1 pick in the draft.
Cardell
Cook
Jones,
from Michigan State.
right there, close by.
Can he leave after his
Oh,
sophomore
sure
year?
he can.
Cardell Jones can leave
Oh,
after his
sure.
sophomore year?
Yeah.
I think he can't leave out until after your junior year. I could be wrong. The rules change all the time.
But they were talking about him coming out after last
But
year.
I have, yeah, the Bears absolutely.
I think that's all gone. Maurice after that happened, I think the NFL's opened it up. I think what you're thinking about is the old days where your class had to graduate. I don't believe that anymore.
I think you have to have 3 years in college. You either have to
I
be at
never
least a
heard that.
redshirt sophomore or a true junior before you can leave for the draft. I think.
Well,
All right, here's one for
we'll
you.
plead stupidity, but I think you're wrong about
Here's
that.
one for you. Will Brock Osweiler be the next quarterback of the Chicago Bears?
Ooh, that's a good question. Ooh.
I think he's going to be the next quarterback of the Denver Broncos. But he's going to be on a short leash. And if John Elway isn't happy with what he sees, he will get rid of him
You know, I wanted
fast.
to write. It's funny you brought that up. I wanted to write that. A guy said to me the other day, think about this. I don't know that this is a question. It's a statement. You can react to it. A guy said to me, do you think people realize what Peyton Manning has done for Denver beyond the Broncos? That he returned the Broncos to the way the feeling was when John Elway was here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That he economically has had an effect on Denver because of the mood that people are spending more money.
From a roster
That
standpoint.
Peyton Manning's come in and done something that no quarterback has done in the history of the Broncos. He is donating money to a lot of
Yes.
charities. He's Elvis when Elvis was giving out money to all sorts of charities.
and again, from a roster standpoint,
and John
players-
Elway's done a lot for the city, but I think Peyton Manning's probably donated more money to charity than John did, because John wasn't making. He's donating more money than John Elway was making in his career.
The thing with Peyton is he spreads it around to various charities around the country, though.
But
John's
he's
mainly
doing a
stayed
lot.
right here.
Yeah, he's done. Well, the most money. What was the most money John Elway ever made? I can tell you,
Was it $5 million a year?
$5 million.
Yeah.
Peyton donates more than that to charity. I'm not here on a Peyton bandwagon, but I thought it was interesting. The guy said, "Do people in Denver, a lot of the same people are saying, oh, retire, go away. We don't want you back here." Realize what he's really done?
Well, and also...
And the reason why I
yeah.
bring that up is Brock Osweiler. We know that Brock Osweiler can't donate $5 million a year to charities. He doesn't make $5 million a year. Brock Osweiler's personality, you've been around him. I like him. He's a Montana guy.
He's
But
a personable guy.
Yeah, but Brock Osweiler's never going to be a Peyton Manning. He's not going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Do you believe that at all?
No. Haven't
No.
seen that.
So we're going to go back to, here's my statement. We're in Denver. We are going to go back to the Brian Griese period. Brock Osweiler's kind of like Brian Griese.
Except John won't allow that. Not for more than maybe a year. John knows how important that position is. John wants to win now, and John won't have a lot of patience with the quarterback position.
All right, but who out there?
Drew Brees.
They're not.
Drew
no,
Brees.
that is not going to happen. You bring that
They're
up.
writing
and-
stories all over the place, locally and nationally. Is it time for the Saints and Brees
Sure.
to separate?
But I can't believe we assume John Elway's going to continue with this job for a while.
Yes.
I thought he was in for about 5 years. I think he was doing he wanted to prove he could do it. He wanted to help Pat Bowlen at a time when Pat was starting to deteriorate. And I think he wanted to right the ship and then go off to play golf and enjoy his life with Paige. Not me. The real Paige in his life. I think he's in for the haul now. I think he wants to end up being a serious minority owner, if not majority owner at some point. And so I agree with you, except Drew Brees is going to be 38, 39. If you really see John Elway going through that business again, he didn't even want to go through this business with Peyton Manning. I think John Elway was ready for Manning to leave. You know, everybody talks about the $14 million. I'm sure you know the real offer was $10 million. Mm-hmm. Did that sound like a guy that wanted Peyton to come back?
I think they were ready to go in another direction if they couldn't work it out with Peyton. I think they were very ready to do that. It was very intriguing to them.
Wasn't $10 million, everybody talks about giving up $4 million. Wasn't $10 million meant to tell him, you should retire?
It's still a hefty sum.
What would they be? And I asked you earlier, you think they would have won maybe 1 out of 3 games with Brock. I'm not sure they would have won any games. He's never played in the NFL. He's not very good. I mean, let's face it, he's good. I'll say that he will be good. Brian Griese was good. He made a Pro Bowl 1 year.
A lot of people would say that's a charitable statement.
That Brian Griese was good?
No, that Brock Osweiler is going to be good.
I think he'll be good, but good is being in the top 20. Kyle Orton was good. You like Kyle Orton over the options. Kyle Orton wasn't a winner. He wasn't a guy to get you to the playoffs. He wasn't a guy to get you to the Super Bowl. That's what we're going to see here. So people, I'm trying to say this, and I'm sorry that I'm taking too long. Well, I hope people will consider that Peyton Manning has kind of saved Broncos football here. John Elway saved it, and then Peyton Manning saved it. Those two guys have combined to save what was the worst toxic waste dump in the league.
Let me just put a bow on that. Because Peyton Manning was here, it allowed the Broncos to go out and get a lot of other big-name free agents, great players, who wanted to come here to play with Peyton Manning. So that helped in that regard as well. Let's do a